This is actually my first ever interview, and I was told that if I do a bad job, I'm gonna disappear like the employees at Willy's Wonderland. So, no pressure.
No pressure.
Hey everyone, my name's Jaren and I top movies, and if you're just like me and you live in the top movies, well, this may just be the place for you, so consider hitting that subscribe button. So normally you guys know me as the guy who does the movie reviews, the rankings, the occasional video essay, but I'm excited because today I get to bring you guys some new content, a new side to my channel, things that I want to do much more often going forward, and that is interviews. I had the immense pleasure to sit down with the creator of Willy's Wonderland, the film starring Nick Cage, coming out on video on demand everywhere Friday, February 12th, G.O. Parsons. We talked about his inspirations, his creative process, what was going through his head when creating Willy's Wonderland, how it was like to work with Nicolas Cage, and just the future, where he sees himself going from here. It was amazing conversation. I had a blast talking with him. He's a super humble, down-to-earth guy. You can tell he's just having a lot of fun with this press junket and just advertising this movie, as it's kind of already gained a cult following before it even releases. So it was kind of exciting to sit down and pick his brain, ask him a bunch of questions, and have just a overall great discussion. I've got to thank him for having me and letting me talk with him, and his publicist, and just everyone on board. I had a ton of fun with this. This was my first interview ever, so if it's a little messy, forgive me. I promise I'll get better in the future, but I gotta say, this is a pretty big one to start off in this area of the channel. But with all that being said, I don't want to take any more of your time, so let's hop into the interview.
Hey, Jaren.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking a couple minutes to sit down with me. This is a pretty big deal. I'm excited about this.
No, pleasure's all mine, man. Thank you for talking to me. How you been today?
I've been pretty good. Just like enjoying the lockdown, watching a ton of movies and all that stuff, getting prepared for the movie to come out. But yeah, this is actually my first ever interview, and I was told that if I do a bad job, I'm gonna disappear like the employees at Willy's Wonderland. So, no pressure.
No pressure. I love that. I love that DVD case or Blu-ray case you got behind you. That's pretty good. So
Once
tell
Upon
me,
a Time in Hollywood, or just all these?
oh, just all of them. All of them. What's your favorite there?
Uh,
Or do you have one, or is it just like you could just go with any of them?
I could really go with any of them. I'd say probably on that shelf it's Pulp Fiction, but that's like only half of the movies I have. I'm a big collector.
Welcome to Willy's Wonderland. Spend the night cleaning Willy's Wonderland, and I will pay to have your car fixed.
So I guess the first question I want to ask is just, how did you come up with the concept of Willy's Wonderland? Like, I have this running theory that it's probably based off this childhood nightmare you had of going to Chuck E. Cheese. Is that anywhere accurate at all? If not, how did you spark the idea?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways. What you're talking about with the childhood nightmares. I actually grew up in Lake Tahoe, and it sits on the border of Nevada. And if you go into Nevada before you get to Reno, there was this theme park casino. It was called Boomtown, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like Family Fun Center. It had all these kind of attractions and things like that, and they had attractions like Willy's Wonderland does. So it was part that was definitely part of like the genesis. The other part of the genesis was just like I always you're looking behind you got all those horror movies, and like I
Right.
always wanted a horror movie where the bad guys pick the absolute wrong person to mess with, right? So
Absolutely.
here's a funny story. My friend used to play professional football, and at one time he was like 6'4", 350 pounds. He was just giant. And he's driving on the road, right? And this guy, he cuts some guy off by accident. And the guy like rolls down his window and is like, hey, pull over. I want to fight you. So my friend, who's insane, pulls his car over. Don't do this ever. And gets out of the car. The other guy gets out of the car. The other guy gets out of the car. He's all mad, and he looks and he sees, my friend who's just this giant. He immediately turns, gets back in his car, and just drives. And I remember my friend saying he was just like running after him. I was like, yes, that is exactly the kind of thing that would make an excellent movie. Just messing with the wrong person. And you kind of see it in the trailer, right? When Ozzy comes up to the janitor and starts like kind of poking at him, and then realizes, oh no, I'm absolutely screwed.
I don't want to come into an encounter like that. That's for sure.
No, you want to be the guy that and that was another thing. It's like everybody has that wish inside them. They all want to be the person that fights back against the bully. Right. And when you're watching Willy's Wonderland, that's kind of what I had always hoped everybody would emulate. You are the employee, you're the janitor, you're cleaning up, and you're kind of living vicariously through Nicolas Cage as he mops the floor with these demonic animatronics.
Sounds good to me. I like that. So I guess, obviously, this movie was supposed to come out like months ago, and I've been following it since it was titled like Willy's Wonderland and stuff, but because the world kind of just virtually shut down, how has it been to sort of navigate the pandemic and all of the bumps in the road, I should say? Like, how has that been kind of adjusting to this and kind of totally shifting gears as to how you guys were going to be pushing out this movie and distributing it?
Right. It's like threading a needle. So originally, we always wanted it to be released on Halloween, obviously, because it's this fun horror movie that's just absolutely built for that. Mm-hmm. Because of the pandemic, we didn't have time to be able to get it finished before Halloween because everybody had to be in separate rooms. So when you're editing and you're going through the notes process and you're going through the effects process, it goes to one person, then it goes to the next. So it's very difficult to be able to get it done in a certain time frame. However, I think that we've all put up with being incarcerated in our homes and not being able to go out and see friends. Mm-hmm. And there hasn't been many new movies because, rightfully so, they have big budgets and they need that theater release in order to make back the money they spent. Willy's Wonderland is a lower budget movie. And if we can go directly into everybody's homes, especially this weekend when there aren't other like horror movies or movies that Willy's Wonderland is going to be competing with, we can go right into everybody's homes. We have the 12th, the 13th, Valentine's Day. It's the perfect Valentine's Day for anybody and their loved one. And then President's Day, the next day, they have another day off. So that you're giving me 4 days to have this movie. It's perfect. It's one of the serendipitous things that has happened with this movie. You'd think this is a good expression everybody should know. Sometimes you think you're having bad luck, and you're really having good luck. And the pandemic was a lot of bad luck, and it's been awful for a lot of people. And in some ways, it's been good luck for myself and for this film.
Wow, that's good. I didn't even think about that there's that like long span of time to where people are just going to be like sitting together, being able to watch the movie. And I know you've said in past interviews, like making an event, that's a big deal to you. So to kind of release it in a time to where like everyone can be together and sit down and watch it, I guess that is cool. You got to always look at the bright side, I guess.
Look at the bright side. Like one of my favorite things is hanging out with my cousins, watching horror movies and B movies and laughing and ripping on a Mystery Science Theater 3000 style. That's part of it. And that's part of like after the movie's over, talking about all our favorite parts. There's a camaraderie to film that happens in your home that you don't necessarily get when you're in the theater because you have to be polite and quiet to all the other people in the theater.
So you mentioned B movies. That kind of leads into my next question, which was going to be, what are some of your like biggest influences, whether it's like people in the industry, films, just like what are the ones that you look at that kind of like help you come to creating this story and just like give you the inspiration overall?
I'm going to give everybody a one that they may not have heard of.
Okay.
There is a B movie, and it's by a guy named Nigel Bach, and it's called Bad Ben. And he's got his whole Bad Ben series on Amazon. And if you haven't seen it, it's not like a big popular thing. I came across it because I'm always like searching the digital streamers for like B movies and what haven't I seen. And I came across this one and I watched it. And what it is, it's Nigel was trying to make a movie. So he got all these actors together and he got all these people together and he's like, let's make this movie. And the day that they were going to make it, everybody quit on him. We can't do it. Oh, this happened. I can't make the thing. And so he had, he was just this guy that wanted to make a movie, and everybody that he counted on just said, yeah, I can't make it that day. And so instead of him feeling sorry for himself, he got out his iPhone and he just clicked record and he started making it by himself. And he makes this whole movie by himself, just using an iPhone and using the security cameras in the house that he owned. And that was like, number one, the movie is spectacularly funny. And it has a lot of awesome stuff like in it. If you like B movies, I can't recommend it enough. But it's also an inspiring tale, and it inspired me too, because I was like, this guy basically said, hey, if nobody's going to believe in it, I believe in it, and I'm going to make it happen. And that was kind of something that I took from that movie. And he just had fun with it too. That was the other thing. There was nobody who was telling him, you can't do this, you can't do that. It was his phone. It was his house. It was his security cameras. He could do whatever he wanted. So that was that's like kind of an inspiring B movie. People should check out.
So is that one like recent? Like, did it come out just a couple years ago?
Yeah, just a couple years ago. I think it came out maybe 2015, 2016, and then he's made others because people like myself, stream them on Amazon, and it's become like a little bit of a cult thing. Other 80s movies that happened and 90s movies were always big inspirations too. Jack Frost, I think, was the first one I remember watching when I was younger, and just thinking like, it kind of opened my eyes to this whole new world of, well, this isn't like Casablanca. Like, what is this? It's awesome. Yeah. And so those are the kind of movies that I enjoy the most. Those ones that you can have fun with, and some take themselves super seriously and they're hilarious, and some don't, and those are fun too.
That's pretty awesome, because I've never really ventured into the B movie category, but I guess I have a couple of recommendations now that I can go watch.
Those are super B movies.
Okay, so obviously the front runner, Nicolas Cage, we got to talk about him. How was the experience? Oh, well, first off, I want to ask you, when crafting the movie, putting it together, did you like reach out to him, or was it a thing to where like, was he your first pick? Did you have other people lined up, or is he the one that you just saw as, you know what, that's the guy who needs to play the janitor?
When I first started, I wrote it just specifically for myself because I had planned to shoot the whole entire thing in a friend's garage. And I had actually shot a scene in a friend's garage just as like a test thing. You can see it in it is in that trailer. It's the scene where he beats up Ozzy. I had a different animatronic guy, so I'm mopping and I beat it up because I had been trying so hard, doing a lot of plays, trying to get any attention I could, and nobody was giving me a shot. So I was like, I will do this. And I made that short, and I had the script, and I was sending that out to a lot of people. And I sent it out to a casting director named Venus Kanani in Los Angeles, and she really took to it. And she was like, hey, listen, I know you want to be in this thing, but if you got it to a screen legend like Nicolas Cage, it could be a big movie. And I didn't have the connections to get it to him. Almost nobody in the world does. But she knew his manager, a gentleman named Mike Nylon, who's also a producer on the film. And she was the person that reached out and said, hey, I got something that Nick may dig. Would you take a look? And Mike read it. He loved it. He gave it to Nick on a Friday. And on a Monday morning, Nick was like, okay, when am I clocking in?
Officially on staff.
So that was like one of the coolest. Yeah, that quick. It was so cool. And so like, was there ever another choice? No, because he was the first choice and he said yes, and he couldn't have been a better choice. Literally, when you watch this movie, you could not imagine another actor doing it. He is the janitor. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's nobody better.
So how was it actually working with him? What was the experience? And did he have like, I guess, a lot of creative freedom when it comes to like tweaking the script or deciding things he was going to do with the character and changing the vision a little bit?
Yeah. So Nick, when he takes on a role, he takes it 100%, gas pedal down all the way a million miles an hour. And that's what he did with this one. And this character, the janitor, he doesn't say much. He's a very stoic individual. So Cage playing him had to be able to get all the energy and the emotion that you could normally do in like a monologue, or you say like Pulp Fiction, things like that. That's very dialogue heavy, and you
Right.
learn
Yeah.
about all those characters through their dialogue. But in this one, all the same kind of love that puts together a scene had to be put into just a look or a smile. And so he thought that that would be like a challenge, an ultimate challenge, or something that he hadn't done before. And then, yeah, he's very into reptiles, chameleons, dinosaurs. It fascinates him. And one of the things that he asked was, hey, we have these other animatronics, but I haven't seen any kind of lizard animatronics. I think that would be a really cool thing to put in. And so we did. We made that change. We got Artie Alligator in there, Cammy Chameleon, Tito Turtle, and I think that elevated the movie for sure. And he was also very protective of the movie. You know, things will happen during a film. It's like, oh, we can't do this. Oh, I don't know if we have the budget to do that. And he was always like the number one cheerleader. Like, no, let's find a way to make this work. Let's do it this way. Let's do it that way. Let's make this thing happen. He didn't have to do that. He did that because he's an artist and he cared about the project, and he wanted to elevate everybody's game. You know, he elevates your game. So if it's using a basketball analogy or football analogy, you know, when you played with Kobe Bryant, he elevates your game. Tom Brady just won the Super Bowl. Why? Because he elevates everybody's game.
Right.
And Nicolas Cage is a lot like that. So what's my experience working with him? You know, nobody better.
That's good to hear, because I feel like there's a thing that goes around, sort of like a stigma around him, that he just kind of takes every role for money, or that he's only in it for the money. He'll just kind of do whatever. So the fact that he was like that involved, that's pretty cool to hear. It's kind of refreshing.
It couldn't be further. And look, I have firsthand experience, so I can tell you it
Right.
could
Yeah.
not be further from the truth. The man probably gets 3 scripts sent to him a day. You know, you get Nicolas Cage attached to your movie, it means something. He's not
Absolutely.
just sitting back. You know, if he wanted to do that with Willy's Wonderland, he totally could have.
Hmm.
And uh, it wouldn't have been as special as it's becoming. It's taken off because of his work ethic and because of how much he wanted to see what was on the page happen on the screen and how much he cared. And there's a lot of hurdles that go into making a film. Like you think, oh, we got Nicolas Cage, no problem. You know, let's go shoot this thing. No, it doesn't work like that. There's a lot of red tape and steps that you have to get past
Right.
in
Yeah.
order to actually get to that point. And going up, every one of those steps was difficult. And at any time, nobody would have blamed him if he was like, hey, this is too difficult, I'm going to go work on something else. No, he stuck with it all the way and was a backer 100%, had everybody's backs. Again, I say this, besides my beautiful wife saying she'd marry me, it's like the nicest thing anybody's ever done for me. So kudos to him 100%.
He's gonna die in here, but he won't listen to me.
So I guess after this is all over, what do you see next for yourself? Do you think you could see yourself sitting in the director's chair for a movie? Is there a sequel in the works? Are you wanting to do another film like in this genre, like kind of switch the genres completely? Any ideas of what's going to happen going forward?
Yeah, one of the things that I say to everybody is always be ready for the next thing, because
Hmm.
if you have one thing, somebody's going to say, hey, what's next? What's next? So I got a bunch of fun stuff lined up.
Okay.
A smaller movie that, I'm sorry, like we have a little bit of a phone going on. That's the problem. I wrote a book that I'm going to try and get out there that everybody's the fan of Willy's Wonderland is going to love. It's called
Awesome.
Subway Dwellers versus Barnyard Oddities. They're battling for the fate of the universe. I mean, it's so cool.
Already love it.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. So I got that one. I got Treasure's Trap House, and it's going to be like a treasure hunt in a haunted house. I got one where a robot dinosaur attacks a ski area. I got a bunch of cool stuff, and it's a matter of, okay, I have these ideas, I have these scripts, I have these novels, let's make it happen. And hopefully Willy's Wonderland and the crew that's responded to that will respond to those as well, and we can do more fun movies like that.
What is like your writing process normally? How long does it normally take for you to come up with these wild ideas? Because they're definitely original, they're definitely out there. I imagine that takes some time and creativity. So like, what's your process?
I listen to a lot of music, so I'll be listening to music or going for a run or going for a walk, and I'll get hit by something like, oh,
Hmm.
this would be a really fun idea. And I think this happens to a lot of people. Like, oh, I have the funnest idea. Well, if you don't jump on it immediately, at least write it down, it could just vanish into the ether. So if you're listening to me, anybody, and you have a cool idea, always just write it down in a notebook really quick.
Yeah.
And then the writing process for myself, and I say this to anybody who wants to like make movies or comic books or do something fun, all you got to do is write 1 page a day. That's it. You don't have to do any more than that. Maybe it'll take you an hour. Maybe it'll take you 10 minutes. If you
Hmm.
just write 1 page a day, then in 3 months, you got yourself a script. It's that easy. And then,
Wow.
you do it again, and then you have 2 scripts. And now in the time of 6 months, you've written 2 scripts that you can then go back and work on. So that's kind of my process. If sometimes I'll write way more than 1 page a day. But if you always write just one, even if you're not feeling the creativity, it's like working out at the gym. The more you do it, the stronger you get and the easier it becomes.
That's really cool because I feel like a lot of people are kind of afraid of, like, especially for me, I have the tendency to sometimes when I'm thinking about tackling a big project, kind of look at it, like see the end result before just seeing the process and getting like anxiety and fear of that. So I guess it's cool when you look at it from a different perspective and how you can kind of like piece it together one by one. Um, you mentioned you listen to music and stuff, and a lot of that, like you come up with ideas. What's your playlist? What's your running playlist? What kind of stuff you listen to on a daily basis?
I'm always listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Killers. I listen to Regina Spektor, any kind of the alternative stuff. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. If I go ska, I've been listening to some Real Big Fish. I'll turn on. Those are kind of the bands that I grew up with in the '90s.
Yeah.
And it's fun because when I was listening to them in the '90s and early 2000s and stuff, I wouldn't listen to the lyrics as well. And when I started now is I listen to those lyrics and I can see just from an artist viewpoint what they're talking about. Like a lot of those songs are talking about how hard it was for them to get somewhere, or how
Hmm.
hard it was for them to do this or to do that, to do that and get to the level that they are at. And I never understood that until I was trying to go after a goal myself, and then you find out like how hard it is, how you can't give up, and then you hear those lyrics in the song, and it kind of inspires you to do more. I'll tell everybody, when I was first starting out writing Willy's Wonderland, it's not in the script, but I had the janitor like listening to some music, and he was listening to the Killer's Shot at the Night. And
Hmm.
that's just because like, hey, give me a shot is basically what I was thinking. Like, give me a shot, give me a shot. And the janitor was listening to that. It's always good to listen to some music before starting a project, because it'll get you
Yeah.
kind of amped and excited. And you don't have to keep it in the final thing, but it'll just act as a driving process that'll push you forward and inspire your brain to do some crazy stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, this is an out there question, but there's this trend that kind of goes around on the internet. It's like spending 24 hours in a abandoned blank or a haunted blank. So, I gotta ask you, if you were given 24 hours to spend inside of Willy's Wonderland, and you had the option to take with you a TV and a DVD player, what are the movies that you would bring with you to get you through the time to survive, I guess you would say?
Okay, so I get my TV and my DVD player. I would
Hmm.
bring The Simpsons, because
Okay.
I could put in a season, and that would kill a lot of time.
Right.
MacGyver. My one of my '80s hero is Richard Dean Anderson, so I of course got some MacGyver. You got to throw that in there as well.
Yeah.
Movies. Well, I'm in a ghost house, so I bring Ghostbusters. Just in case I need some inspiration in order to take
Encouragement.
down the stuff. Yeah, some encouragement. And Fight Club, because I'm going to have to be able to throw some haymakers if these things come alive. So Simpsons for just a little bit of levity, MacGyver for some ingenuity, Fight Club just for the fight training, and then the Ghostbusters just to finish the job.
That's awesome. You got it all thought out. Okay. I like that. Okay. Because I feel like there's none better to describe a film than the creator themselves. So, for all of the Willy's Wonderland employees out there, and for the people that maybe are clicking on this interview, finding out about Willy's Wonderland for the first time, how would you describe the film, and how would you just kind of what's your words of wisdom to people going into the movie?
My words of wisdom, and how would I describe the movie? let's see here. There's a janitor. He's tricked into cleaning up an abandoned family fun center called Willy's Wonderland. The demonic animatronics come to life and quickly realized that they picked the wrong man to mess with. So that's how I describe the film. And to shorten that up, Nick Cage beats up robots for 90 minutes.
That's great.
It's birthday time.
I enjoy a man of few words.
Thank you once again for joining for the interview. I really appreciate it. Guys, the movie comes out February 12th on video on demand. Like he says, make it an event. Show up. There's going to be a Twitter watch party that he's going to be there, right? Answering people's questions and all that stuff. So make sure to show your love. It's kind of turned into like a cult classic already, and it hasn't even come out yet. So I can't wait to see the growth continue. Right. But yeah, thank you so much, Gio. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.